Welcome back to another episode of the Rope Drop Pod. This week, Kristen and I are talking all about unpopular opinions, hot takes, anything related to the Disney parks. One of my own unpopular opinions, I think, is I'm a coffee person. I know that Kristen really is not a coffee person, so I am curious to see what your opinion about this is. I prefer Starbucks over Joffrey's. I know that when people go to Disney, like Joffrey's is their thing and they really enjoy it, but I just don't like it. I haven't had very many coffees at Joffrey's and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need another one of these. And I will say I stayed at Coronado Springs in the tower this summer actually, and I had a coffee that was actually really good. But compared to everything else that I've tried, I have not liked it at all. I'd rather just go to Starbucks. And I'm comparing Joffrey's and Starbucks because they're both on property within the Disney parks. And so if I'm going to pick one of the two, I'm going to go to Starbucks. However, Joffrey's has these giant sprinkled donuts, and
that's what I was gonna say. That's their plus.
It reminds me of when you go to Universal and get one of the Simpson donuts. So Joffrey's has their own version of that, and I love the donuts. So Joffrey's Donuts, 100%, I'm going there to get a nice sweet treat in the morning. But as far as coffee goes, Starbucks is my own personal choice. So I know you're not a big coffee drinker, but if you were choosing between the two, what would you pick?
So yeah, don't drink coffee at all. Never been a coffee drinker. Actually hate it. Don't even like the smell of it. I'm totally weird. But I agree with you. The donuts at Joffrey's are delicious. However, because I am 95 on the inside, I always am like, let's eat a little protein for breakfast. So I'm already in the parks and like I just need a little something to get me going and make it to my next snack or whatever. I do really think in the last few years that Starbucks has really stepped up their food offerings, especially their breakfast. Like I love the egg bites and some of the breakfast sandwiches. So if I kind of want
That's
like food, I'm going there. But yeah, as far as a sweet, if you do just want to grab a donut in the morning, they are delicious.
So good. I love the sprinkle. I think they're all sprinkled, maybe. I don't know. But I know, like, during the holidays, they always have, like, I think around Valentine's Day this year, they had heart-shaped donuts. And if you like donuts, you should go to Joffrey's. Check it out. But that's my opinion. Coffee-wise, I'm going to Starbucks. But Starbucks, you're right. They do have some good options as well. But as far as Joffrey's donuts, I really like those. Okay. Another... I don't know. This is probably an unpopular opinion. Spirit jerseys. So if you don't know what a Spirit jersey is, it's like this giant, oversized, long-sleeved shirt. And I will admit they are very comfortable. Like I'll wear them around the house, like around the when it's cold outside, and it's nice to wear with leggings and it's comfortable. But my opinion is I feel like the popularity, or maybe even the style is a better word, of Spirit jerseys is like not a thing anymore. I don't buy Spirit jerseys anymore. Like I used to, but I definitely don't feel like they're like as popular as I used to. I know that I'm pretty sure you can still buy them all over Walt Disney World. But I just don't really, I'm not a huge fan of them anymore. I don't know. What do you think?
Okay, so I feel like of our like friend group, and especially like our Disney friend group at the agency and stuff, so I'm actually on the older end. So full disclosure, everybody, I am 43 and a half. But I feel like I remember they weren't called Spirit jerseys back then, but like there was a time when I was a kid that same style of shirt was available. And I kind of feel like because of that, like I don't want to rock it the second time around. But my friends that are even, I'm going to say like in their 30s, like just a tiny generation under me, they love them. And, like we have friends at the agency, I'm looking at you, Lauren and Emily, that love a Spirit jersey. But I kind of don't get them. I wish that I looked cute in them. It's not a look for me. Like I want so badly to be able to put on leggings, like you said, and wear a Spirit jersey and look cute. It's not my look. So props to everybody who wants them. But I do think it's more like the millennial group and up that's kind of holding on to them now. I don't think like my stepdaughter's not going to go and buy one. She's 18.
Yeah.
But I think the people that are maybe like 30s and up, they're kind of holding on to them. But I don't feel like I see as many in the parks now. Like for a while, it was like
Yeah.
everywhere
Everybody.
you look, Spirit jerseys for everything. And you still see them, but I think maybe they're waning a little bit as a trend. So I'm okay if they go away, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like right on the edge of, I'm like a baby millennial, but I'm an older Gen Z. And so this is one of those things that I feel like I lean more Gen Z in this, but I don't know. Like I will admit, I used to love them. I used to buy them every single time I went, but I really don't anymore. So I don't know. I wonder what other people think about Spirit jerseys. I feel like that hasn't really been a topic of conversation that I've seen people talk about.
Yeah.
Another unpopular opinion is, actually, I kind of feel like this is a popular one. I think many people will agree with me, is that there are not many breakfast food options within the parks. I feel like Disney, I know that Animal Kingdom, they're really trying. Like when I was there this summer, my sister is a cast member and she pointed out this location that was now serving breakfast and they never used to.
Yes.
And so I think Disney is trying and like they're well aware. But it's so crazy. You get to the park super early for rope dropping and you don't have very many places besides Joffrey's or Starbucks to get like actual breakfast. And so
yeah.
I don't know, just kind of surprising compared to all the other kinds of food options that Disney has. But as far as breakfast food specifically goes, there's not a whole lot of options. Would you agree?
I totally agree. I actually have pretty strong feelings on this because number one, Disney, I love you, Disney, but you are a money grubbing machine. And I think you're missing out on a huge money making opportunity because like Alexis said, all these people, including us, were rope dropping in. We maybe had a power bar or something, when we left the hotel or whatnot, but we are, hitting about 8:30, 9:30 in the morning. We need something to eat. And you're right, like Animal Kingdom's gotten better because for a while, if you didn't want like a meal and you didn't want to wait till lunch, really the only thing you could find in that park was a pretzel. Like that was it. That was open, or maybe some popcorn. But that's not really breakfast either. But yeah, I agree. Magic Kingdom doesn't really have options. Like, I know a lot of people like to save money and maybe like split one of those larger breakfasts that they have at the quick service in the hotels. But I do think that they could easily slate a couple quick service restaurants in each park just to flat out serve breakfast. And if they sold those breakfast platters, I think people would go nuts for them. Because Woody's Lunchbox is awesome for breakfast. You can get like the little Tacho's breakfast bowl. It's really good.
Yeah.
But you have to go pretty far into the park to get that too. You have to go all the way over into Toy Story Land. So it's not really convenient unless you're going to rope drop straight into like Slinky or Toy Story Mania.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. The resorts obviously have great breakfast options, but the parks itself, not the best. Okay.
Yeah, and if they would just put a Mickey waffle in the parks, like, people that are just doing a park today or staying off property, they want Mickey waffles. Like, people go nuts for those. And if they would put those around the parks, even the carts and stuff, I think they would, like, snatch them up. I really think it would be huge.
That's a great idea. I agree with that. I guess kind of moving towards the topic of resorts. So there are so many resorts all over Walt Disney World. And there are, I have at least been to, I think, all of them. Sure, I'm pretty certain I've been to all of them. I haven't stayed at all of them, but I've been to all of them. And a resort that I think is overrated is Grand Floridian. And it's a beautiful resort. And, you can pay a good amount of money for an amazing room. I know that they have weddings at this resort. And it's like, I guess if you're picking like the top resort at Walt Disney World, I think it would be Grand Floridian. And I honestly, like, comparing a deluxe resort to another, I would prefer the Polynesian. I would much rather spend the amount of money that I have to spend at Grand Floridian at the Polynesian. And I don't know off the top of my head like exactly what the prices are comparing, but I think it's beautiful, but I don't know. It just feels like it needs something. I don't know what it is. It just feels like, I don't want to say dated because I don't feel like that's the right word, but maybe it just needs a revamp of something. but I just think it's a little overrated. If I'm paying high dollar for a deluxe resort, I would much rather stay at the Polynesian. I love the Polynesian, but Grand Floridian, in my opinion, is a little overrated.
I agree with you. Now, if somebody said you can stay there for free, absolutely, I'm in.
Of course.
But yeah, of the deluxes, I don't think it's my favorite. For me, people are probably going to knock me for this. It's stuffy, and I don't like that feeling. I'm just not really one for, like, I like things to be nice, but I much prefer a more modern feel to that luxury than that Victorian feel that they have. And for me, it's a little stuffy for me. It's pretty. I like to go eat stuff, hop off the monorail, whatever, but it's not really my place. But I think you and I disagree on my overrated resort. I don't love Caribbean Beach. I do not get the hype about Caribbean Beach Resort. I just don't. I think it's kind of too spread out. It's a lot of walking to get anywhere. I feel like you have to crisscross here and there and yon to get anywhere. And I kind of feel like, Disney was super smart when they put the Skyliner there, because all of a sudden it became super popular, because I couldn't get people to stay there until the Skyliner. And now my clients all want it because it's the only moderate with a Skyliner option. Yeah. But as far as I'm concerned, like, if I want Skyliner, I would rather stay at Pop Century to be on the Skyliner than stay at Caribbean Beach. I just don't get it. So
for a while, when my family and I were going on family trips, we stayed at the Caribbean, I don't know, 2-3 times in a row. We loved it. I will say that we have only stayed in the preferred rooms, and so we never have really had to have a long walk, but there are definitely some rooms that are way far from that main area, and especially when you're coming back late at night, that can be tough having to walk if you whatever. But I go back and forth, because I used to really, really love this resort, and then I started to stay at other resorts, and I don't know, I really enjoy Coronado a lot, and I after staying at Coronado, comparing that to the Caribbean, how do you say it? Caribbean? I don't even know.
I don't know. It's so weird, because I say Pirates of the Caribbean, but I usually say Caribbean Beach Resort, so it's strange. I don't know why.
I agree. I've said it multiple ways, and I've had people correct me. I'm like, what? I don't know. Anyways, but
because you usually say Caribbean Beach Resort, and I usually say Caribbean Beach, and I'm like, is either one of us ever going to change?
I know.
But we've since I've known you, we've said it differently.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But regardless, after staying at some other moderate resorts, I prefer them, I think, now more. But for a while, that had been the only moderate resort I had. No, I've stayed at, gosh, I'm blanking. What are the 2 resorts?
French Quarter and Riverside?
Yes, I've stayed at French Quarter. And so, after staying at some other ones, I don't know. I feel like my opinion is a little bit different, but it makes sense. Now that the Skyliner is there, it definitely changes that resort and people wanting to stay there, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Other unpopular opinions. Do you want to talk about this first one that you listed? Or start talking about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me see what I listed first. Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll take this one. Okay.
Perfect.
So I think that character dining, I love character dining. I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to give Disney my money. But I think that character dining has gotten to be less of an experience for more money. And by that, I mean, is the character interaction still fun? Yes. But do I feel like they're trying to really quickly get around and kind of crank people in and out? Yes, I do. Whereas I used to feel like, you're paying a really good chunk of money, especially if you're a family of 4 or 5 people, you're laying down a really big, hundreds of dollars to eat a character. And if you get a little quick visit, I was really disappointed when we had a great experience. My friend Andy and I went down for Halloween, and we ate at the Hollywood and Vine for the Halloween characters. It was Minnie and Friends Halloween. And the pictures we got were awful, a lot of them, because the characters were in such a hurry. At one point, I was sitting in the booth, and Minnie didn't even come around so that I could stand up and get a picture with her. She literally just came in over the booth. The picture of me is awful because I'm sideways, and I'm trying to see her and look cute, and it's bad. And I just kind of felt like was it a good, fun experience? Yes, the food was delicious and all of that, but we paid a big chunk of money, and the whole idea is to come out with commemorative pictures that are super cute, and we really didn't. So I just feel like we're not getting kind of what we're paying for with the character meals anymore.
That's fair. I actually haven't done a character dining since, oh my gosh, it's been a while. At least before COVID, and then if not years before that. Because I used to do it on our family trips, and then once everybody kind of moved, it's been a little bit more difficult. But it makes sense. I do feel like personally, just from like what I've seen and people have said, I feel like it's changed a little bit too since the pandemic and since those character dining options stopped. So I don't know if that has something to do with, how different it is now, possibly, but I mean, it makes sense. I honestly need to experience it again because it's been a little while since I have, so I don't have a huge opinion about that one way or the other, I suppose.
You did. Didn't you go with me and some other agents to Snow White's fairy tale dining at Wilderness? Is that the last time that you went to do character?
Yes. When was that? What year was that? That seems like.
Oh gosh. It was before the pandemic because we got it at the last second. I remember we were in Magic Kingdom and we snagged a reservation for like 9:00. I mean, we were the last seating that night, and we actually felt bad because the server had to like stay and take care of us. It was so late, but we wanted to do it so badly. So I think it must have been 2018 or 2019.
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be my last character dining. And that one, I had a pretty positive experience. And so
it was fantastic.
I don't, to be honest, I don't have an opinion one way or the other as far as character dining now. But I would love to compare, just add it to the list of things that I got to do on my next trip. So
I've been back to that one since, and it is still fantastic.
Still good.
Like, that is one where, they take their time with you. You still get interaction with the queen, and she's fantastic. So that one I've never been disappointed in. I've done it twice. But yeah, some of the other ones, I just feel like they're a little lacking, and maybe they just need to bring it back up, like you said. But it's been a little sad.
Okay. Well, good to know. Another unpopular opinion. Disney is spending tons of money on Disney parks in other countries, and it seems way less than in the States. So this is actually a great kind of segue. So what I did is I went on Instagram and I asked some of my followers if they could give me, an unpopular opinion that they have. And I had some people respond, and one of the responses kind of relates to what you said. And so they said, Disney hasn't made a good land in the States since Avatar. And I feel like your opinion about Disney spending tons of money in other countries, and it seems like way less in the States. I feel like I agree with both of those statements. I see all these cool things being developed in other countries, and I feel like eventually, like Tron eventually made it over here, and there have been some other things go back and forth, but I agree. I just feel like there could be so much more happening here, and there's not. But that was one that you put, so I guess where was your mind kind of going with this one?
Yeah, so I don't know if I agree with the person who said, that there hasn't been anything good since Avatar. Because I do,
Okay.
Even though I'm not a Star Wars junkie, I think Galaxy's Edge is amazing. I think Toy Story Land's amazing. I think what they've been doing lately is good stuff. I love Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I love Tron. I love Guardians. But I do feel like, and I feel like such an American saying this because we're all like, me. But honestly, Disney is America, and I kind of feel like I'm constantly seeing updates of like entire new kingdoms and lands, like in the Asian Disneys, and all this new stuff in like Disney France, and I'm just kind of like, why are we pouring so much money into those? Because I guess in my mind, like Disneyland and Walt Disney World are always going to be worldwide, the places that like the world wants to come to. So I completely get Disney giving good parks to the rest of the world. But also I feel like, I may never get to Shanghai Disney. I may never get to Disney Tokyo and all these things because it's expensive and it's far and all of that. But I guess in my mind, like if you're going to put a park over there, kind of make it the same park we have so that it's just the same thing but over there, and that way they all have it to enjoy as well. This idea that there's so many cool things, and I feel like they put some of the coolest stuff in the parks that aren't here in the States, and so many people that are Disney lovers like us are never going to get to see them, which I guess is just me being an American and saying, but what? But I don't know.
No.
Like, pour some of that cash into
Yeah.
us. Like, we get Journey of Water.
Yeah.
Come on. Like, that's what we get over the last 2 years. Come on.
Okay, that was one I was debating on putting on this. I haven't seen it. Have you seen it? I know that you were recently there. Did you see that one?
No, it opened like couple weeks after I was
Oh,
there.
okay. So yeah, I mean, great point. You know, I see the Frozen thing that opened. Was it Frozen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I
There's
saw that.
an entire Arendelle Kingdom. Like, they get that, and we get Journey of Water.
Yeah. Or just like the Frozen ride tucked back in Epcot, you know, but
Yes.
I agree. What the person on Instagram about not having a good land in the States since Avatar, I would, you know, that's a bold statement. I'm wondering what this person thinks about, you're right, about stuff about Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land and things like that. I do feel like, you know, Pandora, there is something just a little bit different when you walk into that land, like, you know, at night, how it's kind of interactive when you're walking and the lights change, and those kinds of small things are super cool. But, you know, I would love to know what this person thinks more about these other lands that have been developed since. Avatar is great, but you're right. I mean, I do think Galaxy's Edge is, you know, pretty cool, and Toy Story Land as well. But good point. Next unpopular opinion, I think this is another more popular opinion, is the Disney app, My Disney Experience app. Yeah. It's a hot mess. It's so hard to figure out. I will be honest, like, as a travel agent who has like helped people, you know, go to Disney and helped them navigate through this app, I always just tell them set everything up online, because it's so like less confusing to do it that way, and then later you can go back and see it all loaded into your app. But it's confusing. Genie Plus, adding that in there just made it a little bit more confusing, especially when you can only do it the day of and you can't really figure it out until the day of. But I agree. There's just so much going on, and it seems like you're clicking places that you don't need to click, and there's lots of things that are there that you don't need. I agree. It's a mess.
I mean, I could go on for days, but here it is. It is not user-friendly. It is not intuitive. It forces you to be on your device when you should be spending time enjoying Disney with your family. And that is what really irks me the most, because I feel like I have to be glued to my phone so much during the day. Because typically, you know, I'm there with my aunt who is older. I am doing most of the Genie stuff, all of the Genie stuff. I'm doing the mobile ordering. I'm doing the virtual queues, you name it. And it's stressful. The idea that you have to be buying lightning lanes and buying Genie Plus before your day even begins, and they won't even let you now buy it in advance with your package and just know it's done. You have to wake up before 7. You have to be on your device. It's stressful. You know, if your family came just to see Galaxy's Edge and Ride Rise, and you couldn't get that back in the day when it was only virtual queue, your trip almost could be ruined. And I just think they've taken something that is supposed to make your trip better. It really makes your trip more complicated. And as a first timer who maybe is there for like their one and only trip with their kids because they can afford it once, it's a lot to swallow. So I'm not a fan of the current system at all. And I think Disney really missed an opportunity in general during the pandemic. Like, they were down. They had people that needed to work from home. Why did we not take that couple of years, or at least that time when the park was shut down? What was that, 6 to 8 months? I don't even remember. But like that, why wasn't the IT redone? Why didn't we take that time to get this terrible scaffolded IT that's a big mess and fixed and streamlined, so that when we reopened the parks, we could have said, look what we did, and we could have kept people employed to do it. I really feel like they missed out on that.
I totally agree. You're right. You know, you're in the parks, and before 7 a.m. you're on your phone, and then you're making reservations, and then you're in the parks, and then you're having to change your reservations, and you're checking wait times, and it is a lot. And, you know, definitely someone that hasn't been very often, it's so overwhelming, and it's really it can be really hard to explain to someone that has never been exactly how it works. And I can't be there with everybody, and so I'm sure it's overwhelming for them too. But you're right, like why Disney, such a large corporation, why did you not take the time to revamp it? But it's a mess.
It's so hard to find stuff. Like, even as a person who uses it a lot, there are some times where I'm like, I can't find what I need. And I just don't, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't find it user-friendly at all. But, we could all gripe about this for 20 years and Disney doesn't have to fix it because they're Disney.
Yeah, seriously. Another unpopular opinion, Epcot is getting further and further away from its original intention. The countries around the showcase are becoming less authentically themed for their countries and infiltrated with movie stuff. Example, Beauty and the Beast sing-along? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Beauty and the Beast sing-along instead of Impressions de France. So I made a video like very early on about Epcot and what Walt's idea was for Epcot. And I remember thinking, like, when I was doing the research about Epcot, I learned about all of these things that Walt wanted to do that he wasn't, unfortunately, not able to do. But I think I agree with this as well. I think that they are so focused on bringing in these movies that are really popular right now and trying to incorporate them somewhere within the parks. And some of it is really, really good and really creative. But your like keyword, I think that you said, is like authentically themed. I think they're getting away from that. And I love how unique Epcot is as a park compared to the other theme parks or just any theme park around the world. Epcot is so unique. And I think if we continue to go the direction that it's heading, it will just become another theme park, just like every other park in the world. But what are your thoughts?
I completely agree. For me, I guess I kind of feel this is like my Charlie Brown moment. I'm like, it's all so commercial. But I feel like this started for me when they put Frozen into Norway Epcot, because the whole idea of the World Showcase is for, someone who maybe is not going to go overseas and see all these countries to really get an authentic taste, and back when I was first going, like, truly, almost everyone who worked in each of those countries was someone who had come from that country. So like when you're in Norway, you were actually interacting with Norwegians. They would talk to you about their actual experience in their country. They would talk about how different America was. They were the ones in the gift shops. They were the ones running the rides. And I understand that during the pandemic, obviously we weren't having that kind of exchange with other countries and people coming. But I do feel like, when they put Frozen in there, they took out the ride that was so awesome with the trolls and all about the history of the country of Norway, and they put in Frozen, which has nothing to do with Norway. It's a fictional movie set in a fictional kingdom that is not anything with Norway. And I kind of felt like if I was from Norway, I'd be pretty insulted at that. Like, I just found that fair to be a little insulting to them. And then, I think the difference for me is, so then we look at France. I don't really mind Ratatouille because they built it around, it takes place in France, all of that. That doesn't bug me so much. It does bug me that instead of, I realized the Impressions de France was a really old movie. It looked dated. But I loved it. I loved the impressionistic music. I loved seeing the beauty of the country, which is what I think Walt wanted Epcot to be about. He wanted us to see the beauty of these other countries and cultures and all of this. And to replace that with a Beauty and the Beast sing-along instead of maybe updating that, making it like, come on, man. Again, kind of insulting because Beauty and the Beast was in this little fictional town in France, and like, you took out a beautiful cultural experience and you put in another sing-along. I just don't get that.
Yeah, you're right. I honestly haven't really thought about it before you mentioned this, but I totally agree. I've only done Beauty and the Beast sing-along once, and that was fine. That was good. I was good on that one. But I love the unique part of being able to learn about places in these countries in Epcot. And I also think it's so cool that when you go to these countries, the cast members speak the language, and it's just a unique part of this park that I think is going away. That might go away sometime, but
yeah.
So, kind of just jumping back to some of these responses that we got online. If Disney was to get the rights to Marvel, they would just continue to make lackluster attractions. Another bold statement. I love it.
It's bold. It's bold.
I wonder what this person's thoughts on Guardians is, because Cosmic Rewind, I thought, is an incredible ride, but maybe not. Okay, another unpopular opinion is that Snow White, Seven Dwarfs is overrated, not worth waiting in the line. I feel like this is something that we've talked about before. Unless it's during a show, unless it's really late at night, or maybe we're rope dropping it. I think you and I both agree that that's when we're doing Seven Dwarfs. I agree, it's not worth waiting in the long line. I never wait in the long line. If I'm going to wait in the long line, I'm not going to do it. So I agree with that statement. Another statement, I only have to do Epcot to feel satisfied with my Walt Disney World trip. That's an interesting one. As someone that comes from out of state, I just have to do all 4 parks, and I just have to do it all. But I guess if you go so often, maybe that changes, of course, but I don't know. I personally, I have to do all 4 parks to feel like I've really went to Disney, and I always end it with Magic Kingdom. So that's kind of my own opinion about that one. What are your thoughts?
I agree with you. If I go and I don't hit all the parks, I feel like I missed out on something. And it's not like there's stuff there I haven't done, or I'm not going to come back. But yeah, I like to do them all. I have experimented with starting and ending at different points. I tend to start with Magic Kingdom, and then I don't really care what I end with. But somehow, when you walk into Magic Kingdom, you're at Disney. You feel like you are there, and the magic is starting. But started at all of them. I like to start at Hollywood sometimes. That's kind of fun. But yeah, okay. No, I mean, if I only ever went to Epcot, I love Epcot, but I would drastically miss the other parks. No way.
I totally agree. I actually usually start in Epcot, and the reason for that is it feels like a less, I don't know. I don't feel as, I mean, they're all exhausting. You're walking all day long, but Epcot just feels like the more chill park. And so I always kind of like to start my trip with something a little more chill and kind of easing my way into it. But I don't know. That's, I wonder what everyone else kinds of thinks about that. Another opinion, Disney is not a relaxing vacation. I'm fully aware of this when I go to Disney, that I'm going to be tired for the next week, even if I'm only there for 2 days, but, it's definitely not like a trip you go on to relax. My husband he totally agrees with that. He doesn't mind going to Disney, but he really enjoys a relaxing vacation. Disney is definitely not a relaxing vacation. You're kind of, when you go to Disney, you're kind of just, you kind of know what you're about to expect, that you're going to be exhausted for so long after your vacation. You need a vacation from a vacation.
You do. And I also feel like if you can take time to relax, you can find that. But also, I feel like if you do that a lot, especially if you're not there all the time, then you feel like, well, what we paid to be here, and we're just sitting, and you kind of feel like guilty if you're not up and doing. So I guess I just don't go to Disney expecting it to be relaxing. For me, it's not that type of vacation, but I go in knowing that, so it's all good and it's cool. It doesn't bother me at all.
Fair. Okay, that is about it as far as what we had people say, what our own opinions were. Any other thoughts that you have about an unpopular opinion?
I don't think so. I'm just excited to see the comments. I'm excited to see if anybody chimes in or, agrees, disagrees with us. Like, that's what this is all about. I'd love to hear what other people have to say.
Me too.